Hello everyone, we are the Group 4. Good day. Today we will be discussing one of renewable energy resources, which is the biomass energy. So for today's objective, we want our viewers to learn the basic concept of biomass energy. And also we want them to obtain knowledge about the laws governing renewable energy of Republic Act number 9153. And for them to know how to build and design a biomass power plant as well as to operate one. So what is biomass energy? As we all know, plants catch sunlight and convert it into chemical energy through the process known as photosynthesis. It is the reaction between plants, lights, water, and carbon dioxide. A variety of conversion processes can be subsequently be used to turn this energy into electricity, heat, and liquid fuels. Biomass is a diverse source of energy. Trees, lumber waste, corn, wood chips, rice hulls, peanut shells, sugarcane, grass cuttings, leaves, manure, sewage, and even municipal solid waste are all examples of organic matter used as a source of biomass energy. People all throughout the world have used and continue to use the wood stoves to heat their home and use for their cooking. So they're making the biomass as one of the most popular sources of energy. So according to the World Bank, wood or biomass provides 50 to 60% of energy in the developing Asian countries and 70 to 90% energy in developing African countries. And half of the world cooks using woods. So biomass as an energy source is beneficial in mitigating global warming, also ensuring energy security and increasing local jobs by reactivating forestry industry. Biomass energy should be promoted as a viable alternative to fossil fuel energy, especially in the light of global warming and energy security.
I am Regine SEñOLOS, and I am to tackle about the laws governing renewable energy. And it is Republic Act 9513. So first, I will be talking what Republic Act 9513 is all about, and then head on to Section 2 of this Act. So for about, Republic Act 9513 was enacted in December 2008 to reaffirm the government's commitment to accelerating the exploration and development of renewable energy resources. It aims to reduce the country's dependence on fossil fuels and thereby minimize the exposure to price fluctuations in the international market. Under Section 2, renewable energy resources include biomass, solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, and ocean energy. Under Section 2 is also to increase the utilization of renewable energy by institutionalizing the development of national and local capabilities in the use of renewable energy systems and promoting its efficient and cost-effective commercial application. It is also to encourage the development and utilization of renewable energy resources as tools to effectively prevent or reduce harmful emissions and thereby balance the goals and economic growth and development with the protection of health and the environment. And lastly is to establish the necessary infrastructure and mechanisms to carry out the mandates specified in this Act and other existing laws.
Biomass energy and its basic concept for power generation. Biomass contains energy first derived from the sun. The plants absorb the sun's energy through photosynthesis and convert carbon dioxide and water into nutrients. The energy from these organisms can be transformed into usable energy through direct and indirect means. When biomass is burned, Stored energy is released as heat that is converted into electricity or processed into biofuel. Types of biomass energy conversion. First is the direct combustion. It is the burning of biomass in the presence of oxygen. It is a proven technology widely used to convert biomass energy into heat or electricity with the help of steam cycle, which can be stoves, boilers, and power plants. These processes are applied from a very small scale for domestic heating up to a scale in higher ranges to produce electricity. Biomass could be used as only fuel, but it is also possible to apply co-firing that has important advantages. Co-firing is the burning of biomass mixed with a fossil fuel such as coal. Next is the thermochemical processes. Thermochemical processes entails the application of heat and chemical processes into the production of energy products from biomass and can be subdivided into pyrolysis and gasification. Pyrolysis is a thermal degradation of a substance in the absence of oxygen. In this process, biomass undergoes partial combustion and is decomposed by heat without producing the combustion reactions. The basic characteristics of this process is that the only oxygen present is the content of the waste to be treated at working temperatures ranging between 300 and 800 degrees Celsius. And as a result of this process, liquid fuels and a solid residue rich in carbon are obtained. Next is the gasification. Gasification is a thermochemical process in which biomass is transformed into a combustible gas known as syngas or synthesis gas. The operating temperature ranges between 700 and 1400 degrees Celsius depending on the type of technology used and the conditions of the process and a gasifying agent, which may be water vapor, oxygen, air, or a mixture of these. The gas generated is more acceptable than the original solid biomass and it is characterized by its low or medium calorific value. It can be exploited in various ways through combustion processes to produce electricity and/or thermal energy or as synthesis gas, transforming it into products with higher added value. The next type of biomass energy conversion is the biochemical processes. The biochemical process of transformation of biomass into gaseous or liquid fuels, such as biogas or bioethanol, are supported by different types of microorganisms. The microorganisms, whether contained in the original biomass or added for the process, produce the degradation of the complex molecules of the biomass to more simpler compounds characterized by their high energy density. These procedures are usually applied in the case of natural or residual biomass with a high moisture content. The most used biochemical technologies are anaerobic digestion and alcoholic fermentation. Anaerobic digestion is basically a fermentation process. The biomass is transformed through bacterial action without oxygen, producing a gas compound of methane and carbon dioxide that can be used to produce electricity through gas turbines or in heat and steam processes. Alcoholic fermentation is a variety of biofuels that can be produced from waste resources, including liquid fuels such as ethanol or methanol, that can replace significant quantities of fossil fuels in many transport applications. Biofuels are produced through chemical reactions, transesterification, and esterification. Transesterification is the process in which fat or oil reacts with an alcohol to form esters and glycerol. In the transesterification process, a glyceride reacts with an alcohol, typically methanol or ethanol, in the presence of a catalyst forming fatty acid alkyl esters and an alcohol. On the other hand, Esterification is a chemical reaction that forms at least one ester. Esters are produced when acids are heated with alcohol. An ester can be made by an esterification reaction of a carboxylic acid and an alcohol.
Now let us proceed with the design of a biomass power plant. The design of a biomass power generation plant varies with the type of conversion that the power plant sought to undergo. As mentioned earlier, during the brief and detailed explanation of the biomass conversion processes, since there are many types of conversion process in a biomass energy, let us just focus on the main or the most common biomass process that is being involved in the most common biomass power plant. The thermochemical process called combustion, incineration, and direct combustion system. The first part of the design of a biomass power plant in a combustion or direct combustion process is the storage of the feedstocks or the biomass. This is where the feedstocks are stored to be used for the next stage. The second part of the design of a biomass power plant is the pretreatment part, where it is pre-treated depending on the mode of treatment that a company provides. The next part of the design of a biomass power plant is the main part of the whole system. Probably the most important one since it is involving thermochemical process called combustion. The incinerator, or the combustor, or some would say the burner or furnace. This is where the feedstocks are incinerated in a high temperature. The temperature may reach up to 1000 degrees Celsius or 1000 degrees centigrade. The combustor or the incinerator has different parts. The parts may include the burner itself, the igniter, and the control panel, which makes the manipulation of the parts a lot easier. The next part or the next component of the design of a biomass power plant is involving with the filtration process of the system. Since smoke, ashes, and byproducts are present during the process, it is necessary to be filtered and then emitted out into our environment. The filtration process includes the part wherein a cyclone separator might be present. A cyclone separator separates the particulates or the solid particles from the gaseous particles. The second one is the filtration valve. This filters the air that is emitted into the environment. So the last part of the design would be the cogeneration plant of the power plant. This is the main component of the power plant to generate electricity in a certain area and of course to reuse the residual heat provided by the power generation. The cogeneration plant consists of three main parts, namely the turbine or the steam turbine, the generator, and the condenser. The steam turbine acts as the revolver for the generator. It powers up the generator which is connected to it, and as the turbine spins, the generator revolves, thus generating electricity. However, the condenser's main purpose is to deliver the residual steam to the combustion chamber, or the boiler once again, by converting it into a liquid and running it through the pipes or high pressure pipes to be boiled and to release a high pressure steam once again. The design of a biomass power plant changes as the process of conversion also change. But some of the parts in the system remain untouched or remain the same, such as the cogeneration plant and the filtration process, as all of the thermochemical processes follow the same principle. Say for instance, the thermochemical conversion process involving gasification. Then the part where the incinerator is present is then modified into a gasifier. Same goes with the pyrolysis and then so on. So that's all for the design of the biomass power plant. And next up would be the plant operation in the biomass power plant. Thank you.
Operation of biomass generation power plant has 5 phases. The first phase is the reception of waste. In this phase, the power plant receives an organic waste material such as plant waste, house waste, or waste fermentation. These types of waste are also available in large quantities. The second phase is handling and waste storage. In this phase, the gathered waste will be shredded, mixed, and rinsed to a uniform quality before the waste goes to the third phase. Third phase is waste incineration. This phase is where the waste is introduced to a combustion chamber where the waste is produced heat as it burns. Inside the heat boilers, there are tubes filled with water that are lined inside. Then, when the hot water is produced, it is sent to a tank where the water becomes steam. Fourth phase is recovery of combustion energy. In this phase, the residual gases from the incineration is cleaned with lime that absorbs sulfur dioxide and activated carbon. Bag filters are also used to collect impurities and heavy materials included in the gases. Steam is also recovered in step by entering the condenser in which cold water circulates and turns steam back into water. The steam can also be used in other industrial activities and be used again. The fifth and last phase is the production of electricity. This final phase is where the electricity is produced. The steam goes into a rotor that is designed to turn whenever steam passes through it. It is connected into a generator that interacts between electromagnets of the moving rotor and the copper coils that is stationary stator produce electricity current. These turbines transmit generated electricity to a nearby transformer of an electric grid or to be stored and ready to be used.
And that's it for our report. We hope that you learned something from our discussion. Thank you for listening.